episode of the COVID-19 vaccines, and we hope that the end to COVID-19 is in reach. But how do these vaccines work? There are now 2 vaccines being administered in the UK, the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and the University of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. One other vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, was approved by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Authority at the end of December and will be available in the spring. To understand how these vaccines work, you need to know a little bit about viruses. Viruses are basically made up of a protein coat with a genetic core, and they can only replicate inside other cells. They cannot replicate by themselves. This is one of several reasons why viruses are usually not regarded as living, and as they are not living in the first place, we cannot kill viruses. The SARS-CoV-2 virus causes the disease COVID-19. So the purpose of the vaccines is to prime our immune system against this virus. All 3 vaccines target the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, which is on the outside of the protein coat of the virus and is essential to it for entering the body cells and replicating. To get into our body cells, the spike protein on the outside of the virus binds to protein receptors on host cells called ACE2 receptors. SARS-CoV-2 has a single strand of RNA, the genetic code, inside its protein coat. When it enters the host cell, this RNA is released and then replicated by the host cell, the body cell. The RNA is then used by the host cell to produce structural proteins, which are then assembled into viral particles, which are then released from the host cell as more SARS-CoV-2. The purpose of vaccines is to stimulate the immune system to recognise antigens, foreign proteins, and to rapidly bring about an immune response to the antigen and destroy it before it can cause the person to become unwell. As I said earlier, all 3 vaccines attack the spike protein to stop it getting into our body cells. They do this by introducing nucleic acids, which carry the genetic code for the spike protein into the body. These nucleotides are taken up by special white blood cells of the immune system called dendritic cells. Dendritic cells are usually found under the skin and around muscle cells, so the injection in the arm muscle means the nucleotides are introduced near these cells. When the dendritic cells take up the nucleotides, they enter the cytoplasm, the fluid part of the cell which contains the organelles or the workhouses of the cell. One type of organelle, the ribosomes, act as microscopic protein factories. They decipher the code on the nucleic acid, called messenger RNA, and produce the specific piece of the spike protein that it codes for. There are millions of ribosomes in a cell, so the spike protein, which is the antigen to bring about the immune response, is mass-produced. The dendritic cells then display these pieces of spike protein on their cell membranes, which is the outer layer of the cell, and move towards the lymph nodes where there are a multitude of different white blood cells, the cells of the immune system. This then triggers production of T cells, which are special white blood cells which destroy the virus particles, and they also release interferon, a messaging chemical, to stimulate other cells of the immune system, the B cells, to respond. B cells then produce antibodies, which are specific proteins which bind onto the virus and help with its destruction. Memory T and B cells are also produced, which will then recognise the antigen if it enters the body again, and so a swift response will occur, and hopefully this will prevent the recipient of the vaccine from succumbing to COVID-19.